Hey everyone, it's Russ Curtis, Professor of Counseling. Thank you for joining me today. Thank you for all you good people liking and subscribing. It's so great to have you as a part of the community here. And just wanted to share this one on a near-death experience. So much qualitative data out there with these just kind of coherent experiences that people share. There's societies that study this. And so, anyway, this was one I heard that had some kind of interesting things that I'd heard before, but she really emphasized it. It also was helpful that she's a nurse, so she could share some of the kind of the physiological and medical processes that were going on. This person had an allergic reaction, and even though she had an EpiPen, she still wound up kind of crossing over. I think she was in a medically induced coma for a while, and that's when she crossed over. She did initially say that she was in this just kind of peaceful darkness, and she realized, and she figured out, and she kind of had a can-do attitude kind of person, that she kind of figured out how to move, and she moved towards the light, and the light was her grandmother, and kind of hugged her in this light, and it was very healing. And then there was this rumbling that she said, and it kind of was shaking everything in the entire universe. And the rumbling, approached, and it was God. And she talked about how there was no form, and even though not defined anyway, she kind of took it as masculine. But it was really just light and kind of telepathy that she was experiencing. God pointed out, like, hey, this was when I thought you up, which I thought was cool. And then also pointed out, like, went deep into her cells and was like, hey, here's me and your genetic code. And that I'm in every particle you're being. I make up, the rocks, the trees, waters, and they're loving you. And she talked about, the reason I mentioned that is she talked about when she came back, she would see a rock and she could feel the energy and feel how it was just love and directed specifically to her, which I like to think is directed to all of us, right? But she was given an experience because she was like that thoughts attach to people. So you really want to be careful with your thoughts. Thoughts are powerful. They're not as powerful as your words or as powerful as your actions, but they do have power to them. So we want to be careful about what we're thinking about other people. And then that brings us to forgiveness. That forgiveness is for us to let go of the burden, but it's also really helpful to somebody who may have done you wrong to be able to forgive, and it lightens their load, so forth. She, as a medical professional, talked about like what her experience was very coherent, and that she, and working in an ER, sees a lot of drug-induced hallucinations, and they're not coherent at all. Even when you talk to folks who've done like psychedelic therapy or whatever, it tends to be not prolonged coherence. Okay, they might have random images or sensations and so forth. So anyway, I just thought this was interesting, and I'll put a link to where you can listen to the entire episode here. But let me know your thoughts on this, and we'll talk to you in the next video. Take good care.